This is Frankie Abbruzzino with the Uncensored Report. Media, the truth, stuff you never hear. General public, the sheep. You know, I was sitting here thinking today because I'm preparing a speech for this media day at this one location. And I was just thinking about the general public and how we, essentially, there's two different worlds. If you look at the individuals with the knowledge and understanding of what's going on, you have individuals that are in that mainstream paradigm out there, that mainstream media paradigm, popular culture, and the political rhetoric that comes with it. They're constantly and desperately trying to twist the facts, trying to destroy any legitimacy of reality. The new reality is the reality they want you to believe in. And if you look at the other side of it, where people are basing stuff on concrete facts, the facts that it's an ugly world out there, it's a brutal world out there, and if people see stuff the way it really is, it may possibly leave them with little hope that the most innovative of us can possibly find a way to reverse some of the disastrous courses that we're taking, so that we can get a meaningful civilization out there. But the majority of the population out there have accepted the world fact that is emanated from MSM. Reality only grows more ugly as we continue to ignore it. And yet, we continue to do just that. Have you ever sat there and just thought about a response to any global or national or even local issue out there? And you're thinking on your own, and you're starting to get on your own tracks, and you're believing stuff, and you're researching it. Or are you the person that sits there and says, what's mainstream media going to say, so I can have a new set of beliefs on what's really happening in Ukraine, what's really happening in Syria, how that whole civil war evolved? These professional journalists out there, I was told, I have a greater reach than a lot of these people, and they're like, you're not a journalist. I'm like, okay, I'm not a journalist. What separates you from me? Well, we went to school and we got a bachelor's degree in journalism. You got it in business. And that's what separates us. So you maybe took one or two extra writing courses. And that's all it taught them to do, was copy and write. It didn't teach them how to get out there and investigate. That intuitive initiative out there to find the real source, to find the real information, to get the real information out to the people. Professional journalists, they look to political leaders, mainstream economists. Those are the professionals. They're so much smarter than everybody else. And what they do is they follow that agenda, that narrative that these people are perpetuating out there. And then that just makes the problems even worse out there. These people are not the intellectual class out there that they'd like the society to believe they are. And I was reading this article, and they looked at a couple, four or five scenarios where mainstream media has just worked up a hysteria and taken people in the wrong direction. One was the healthcare bill. When the stock market took a little bit of a drop, they all attributed it to that stock market, to the healthcare bill not getting moved through, basically bombing. And they attributed that failure of the market to that. But it really wasn't. A repeal of Obamacare may have helped, yeah. It may have helped free up billions of dollars in capital out there. Why isn't the mainstream media out there, though, questioning the new healthcare bill, and if it's even necessary at all? Think about it. This marginal shift in Obamacare, so that it exists, but with reduced funding, and instead of calling it, what is it? The word, entitlement. Instead of calling it entitlement, where you get subsidies, they're changing it and saying we're getting a tax break. Same freaking thing. They should have just gotten rid of the whole damn thing. It's been a mess. I'm in the medical industry. I know. It's been a mess. Instead of going after this pointless legislation where they're not going to agree, these idiots can't agree. There's too much special interest out there that they have to make happy. He should have just gotten rid of it. The Russian hackers. You keep hearing this narrative out there. It just isn't dying. The major media keeps pushing it, and they're getting everybody all excited. I remember being at a protest, and the guy's like, oh, I've been hearing a lot about this Russian thing, and that's why I'm out here. And I'm like, what? There's no facts on it. Why is the mainstream media out there asking for the evidence that supposedly proves that Trump's campaign was influenced by the Russian government? They're not doing that. I keep hearing it exists. I haven't seen it. They're more willing to sit out there and demand hard evidence on Trump's making allegations that he was tapped by Obama, where there's more evidence than that was done than there is of the damn Russian thing. Clinton corruption, where's everybody on that? She's still running free. Nobody's talking about prosecuting her for her crimes. And they were crimes. It doesn't matter if you're right or left. She is a criminal. Mainstream economists, you know, when you talk about the market and the conditions, they're, oh, mainstream economists say this, they say that. When Obama was out there saying, oh, there's no inflation, I'm like, wait, what are you talking about? My food price bill's gone up $100. That's because they'll cherry pick numbers. They'll say, okay, here's 30 numbers, pick your 5 best numbers and come out with that inflation rate that you so desire. Everything's fixed. Yet people still listen to these mainstream economists who got everything wrong. Why is mainstream media making it such a big deal that we want to go out there and enforce existing immigration laws out there? These are laws that have been on the books for decades. Why is it a divisive issue to want to go out and enforce our laws? Most countries are stringent, too, with immigration laws. It's not just America. You can't go to Mexico and say, here I am, give me health care, give me welfare. Good luck doing that. And why is it when you criticize it, like I did the other day at a rally in Sarasota at 5 Points, am I called a Nazi? You know, I'm tired of hearing nonsensical mainstream arguments out there about immigration, about healthcare, about everything else. Mainstream media, this is why they're dying. The fourth estate is no longer the fourth estate. They're the arbitrator of fake news. They're the ones out there telling us what is real and what isn't, so that it fits their narrative. You know, they're in rapid decline, but you'll never hear that from them, will you? And that's why many alternative media sites are up there. They're crushing readership. They're crushing viewership. They're crushing the numbers. You look at my local media, Sarasota Scoop, The Scoop. I get the stories out faster. I get the more information. I put out stories that others don't. I put out a story about gunshots, 2 cars firing at each other on the island of Venice over drugs. Others don't do that because it doesn't fit the narrative. The politicians won't like it. The police won't like it. The businesses, the local businesses won't like it. You might say, okay, how can someone like a local paper like the Gano be influenced by that? Who do you think funds their operation? The businesses. If you're out there reporting about a lot of drugs on the island of Venice, if you're out there reporting about the crimes on Venice, if you're out there reporting these different things that I put out in my scoop all the time, guess what? People may not want to come here. That's going to impact business. That's going to impact the politicians. That's going to impact the police. It all has a domino impact. And that's why these news medias aren't, that's one of the reasons why the news media isn't out there. That's one of the reasons why media can't stand the new media, alt media, people like myself. Nobody's paying me. And if somebody were to pay me and say, I don't want this story, I'd say, I don't want you to pay me. Because I'm not going to have you dictate it. And it does go that way. When I was doing radio, they were dictating a lot of stuff. And that's one of the reasons I got out. There was no integrity. No journalistic integrity at all. Your people were out there being brainwashed. And you know, the other issue is the corporate media. Mainstream media is essentially owned by 6 companies, okay? 6 of the largest companies out there. You won't hear stuff about like Fukushima. Everybody's saying, oh, it's a great issue, it's gone away. And you would not know that there's been a major health radioactive concern for the past 6, 10 years, whatever it's been. Why is that? Because their owners, GE, I believe they do the turbines that were supplied to Fukushima. And nobody wants that stuff on the news. And GE is one of the major companies of mainstream media out there. This past election, it was evident that there's no integrity within the journalistic field. And it's led to a lot more skepticism of the mainstream media. Nobody pays attention to them anymore. They, I still share their little stories because it gives filler, it gives information that's going on out there. But I know, even when you read their headlines, it's a lot like that national one. And you do see this at the local level. Washington Post. They put out, illegals are afraid to go in and get food stamps, afraid of getting shipped out. Their editor changed it. Trump is starving illegals. You see the same type of headlines here from local MSM. All right, they're oblivious. The society's oblivious. I can't speak today to what's going on, to the truth that's going on out there. And mainstream media has done a lot of damage to a lot of people. And I just wish more people would get out and research the issues. When I hear stuff about Ukraine being all Russia, I'm like, oh my God, don't you know that we financed it? Don't you know that our ambassador, assistant ambassador, was heard on the phone talking about the overthrow, talking about the financing of it? Don't you know Crimea has been basically a part of Russia for eons? Saudi Arabia, don't you know that the U.S. wanted to bypass Russia with natural oil, and they wanted to do a pipeline through Syria? Syria said no because Assad is friends with Russia. And next thing you know, the instability. Libya, Gaddafi wanted to go to the gold standard. The U.S. didn't want that. Let's go and make that an unstable country. The list goes on. Do your research. Just don't sit there and wait for the 5 or 6 o'clock news for major media to push the same freaking story out. What's really amazing is, one thing I noticed when I first started, they push the same story constantly. All the same narrative, basically the same sentence structure and everything. One of these 2 local media sources got upset with me saying, you're copywriting. And I'm like, how am I copywriting? Because you used one word. So you got a sentence with 20 words in it. I used one word and you're going to say I'm copywriting it? And I just got so tired of it. And I said, that's why I went to videos. I'm like, I'll just do videos. You guys can't do anything. Fair use. I'm good to go. This has been Frankie with the Uncensored Report.